Hi, this is your host. When you think of a porcupine, you probably imagine a small, spiky ball that curls up into itself when threatened. But if you've never seen one up close before, you might not know that those so-called quills are actually modified hairs, and there are a lot of them. A single quill is about 18 inches long, and they can number over 30,000 on a single porcupine. All those quills make the animal look like a pincushion, and they serve as an important defense mechanism against predators. But there's more to them than meets the eye. Take a close look at a quill, and you'll notice that it's hollow and barbed on the inside, kind of like a fishhook. That's because these so-called shooting stars don't just stick in your skin. They actually work like a grappling hook, anchoring themselves in there with backward-facing barbs. This is very different from regular spines, which are smooth, solid, and point forward. So why does this work like that? Well, it has to do with how these little projectiles are launched in the first place. You see, quills don't fall out of porcupine skin on their own. They have to be pulled out by something or someone. When a predator tries to eat a porcupine, its teeth will pull the quills out. But here's the thing. As the predator gnaws on the porcupine, the quills don't just fall out. They get launched out of the skin like a tiny harpoon. And that's due to the shape of the barb. It's angled so that once it's in the skin, any movement of the animal, like chewing, will push the sharp end deeper into the skin and the flesh, anchoring the quill in place. The barbs catch onto the fat and muscle tissue, and the movement of the animal actually pulls the quill further into the wound, making it even harder to remove. That means a coyote trying to eat a porcupine will be more likely to choke on a quill than swallow it. And even if it does swallow a quill, it won't stay down. Those backward-facing barbs will make it come right back up. That's pretty clever. But why do porcupine quills have to be so sharp? Why not just make them smooth like a regular spine? Well, a smooth spine wouldn't work as a grappling hook. You see, the trick to a good grappling hook is having those barbs angled backwards so that once you pull it out, it won't come back out. A porcupine nest quills would only work as a grappling hook if they were sharp enough to pierce the skin and flesh of a predator and anchor itself inside. Otherwise, the quills would just bounce off the outside of the animal. That's why newborn porcupine babies have blunt, flexible quills. The quills only become sharp once they're about 6 weeks old. That way, if mom gets into a fight with a predator while she has still got her babies in her belly, those little ones won't accidentally impale her. And the sharp end of a quill is also connected to a sac full of a nasty, smelly oil. When a quill penetrates an animal's skin, that oil seeps out and makes its way to the respiratory system. If a coyote manages to chew through a bunch of quills, it'll end up coughing so hard that it might choke on one. That's exactly what happened to this captive coyote, except it was an intern who tried to feed him some quills to see if he'd choke on them. He did. The intern felt bad because he didn't realize that the coyote had actually choked on one of the quills and died. I guess you could say that this intern learned his lesson the hard way. If a predator does manage to eat several porcupine quills without choking on them, it'll probably regurgitate them. When a porcupine is threatened, it doesn't just sit there. It'll stamp its feet and scream, warning the predator that those quills aren't the only thing it's got to worry about. Because although porcupine quills are considered one of the most painful natural sensations out there, second only to being stung by a bullet ant, a porcupine can deliver a powerful kick with its hind legs, breaking a human's bone with ease. That's why it's best to admire these animals from a safe distance. Their kicks are powerful enough to send a human to the hospital, but for a small animal like a squirrel, it can be enough to deliver a fatal kick. Now you know. Don't forget to stay tuned. See you next time.